Today's lesson will be on SOL 714, which is our SOL that involved equations and how to solve 1- and 2-step equations, and then also practical problems that dealt with writing an equation and then being able to solve it. So let's start by just defining what an equation is. An equation is a mathematical sentence that states two expressions are equal. Basically, an equation has an equal sign in it. You must have an equal sign to be an equation. I know that sounds silly, but some people forget that part. And it means that whatever you do, think about to be equal. Whatever you do to one thing, you have to do to something else. If I gave half the class just a free 100, the other half would be very upset because you all want to be treated equal. So a one-step equation is defined as an equation that requires the use of one operation. And by one operation, I mean it only has either one addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You only are having to do one math operation. So let's look at this example together. X plus 3 equals -4. Well, the first thing we're going to do, if you remember, is I'm going to draw a line just to go ahead and show the two sides of my equation. Now, remember, we are solving for x. Our goal is to figure out what x is equal to. So we want to get it completely by itself on this side. To do that, we're going to have to use inverse operations. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. So the opposite of adding 3 would be subtracting 3. And if you subtract 3 on one side, then you subtract 3 on the other side. These cancel out. So I'm left with x is equal to, and you're allowed to use your calculator, -4 minus 3 is -7. So x is equal to -7. And I can check my answer by substituting this back in. In place of my x, I'm going to do -7 plus 3. So -7 plus 3. And it did equal -4, so I can put a check mark. It equaled exactly what I needed it to equal. So remember, inverse operation. We just kind of talked about the inverse for addition is subtraction. And the inverse for multiplication is division. And we always have to do the inverse in order to solve our problems. Now, a two-step equation is defined as an equation that requires the use of two operations to solve. And so it's literally what it sounds like. You're going to have two addition, subtraction, multiplication, or divisions. When solving a two-step equation, always add or subtract before you multiply or divide. Now we do have a special rule, and we'll take a look at that one in just a minute, but our rule of thumb is always add or subtract before you multiply or divide. And don't forget, the goal that you're trying to do is to get the variable all by itself. Our goal is to figure out what the variable is actually equal to. So let's look at this example. 2x plus 1 equals -5. So I draw my line. Now the first thing I want to do, remember I'm solving for x, is to do the addition or subtraction. Well, since it is an addition, we need to think inverse. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to do a -1. And if I do it on one side of my line, I have to do it on the other. So if we cancel those out, we're left with 2x equals -1 minus 1 would be a -6. You can use your calculator, nothing wrong with that. And so then the next step, I'm still trying to get this x by itself. So my next step I'm going to have to do is think about what it means when they're touching. It means multiply. The opposite of multiply is divide. So we're going to divide by 2. The -6, these two cancel out. And we're left with x is equal to negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. X is equal to negative 3. Now our one special rule I want to say, where we don't do the addition or subtraction first, would be a problem like this. M plus 6 divided by 2 equals 5. So if you'll go ahead and copy that down if you have not already. And the reason this one's special is because our division symbol is under the entire problem. And whenever something's under the entire problem, we have to get rid of it first. We don't like that. We can't even get to this M because it's got this long division line under it. So in this case, we would undo our division first. So I would times by 2, and they would cancel out. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 5 times 2 would be 10. So now I have M plus 6 equals 10. And now I can just continue. Now it's easier to solve for M. So I would do my minus 6 minus 6. M is equal to 4. If you will go ahead and try these next 3 problems, remember, if you want to rewrite the C/10, it means C divided by 10 equals 40. So I'm going to have you do those 3 by yourself and get them checked by a teacher. And I'm going to also have you do these down here. But I want to stop together and real quickly look at this word problem. A large box contains 11 smaller boxes of raisins. The price of the large box is $2.75. Each of the smaller boxes of raisins costs the same amount. Write and solve an equation which we could use to find D, the price of the smaller. So think about what we're doing. We have this large box that is then split into 11 small boxes of raisins. So if you're splitting something up into smaller, what operation are we doing? Hopefully you are realizing that we are dividing. So in this case, we have our large box is divided into 11 smaller boxes. Oh, excuse me. I completely said that. It is dividing, so we're going to have to divide to find our answer, which means originally it's the 11 boxes equal a total price of $2.75. So then to solve it, we would have to do so we set up our 11B equals $2.75, because 11 of our little boxes, whatever their price is, equals $2.75. So if you will go ahead and work out these problems right here and get them checked by your teacher before moving on to the back.